What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, Machine Militia, TigerFitness.com. Oh man, there's a question I get a lot from people who compete or just want to stay in shape. That is, between shows, how much weight do you put on? Now, it's pretty simple. I used to keep the 20-pound rule, but there's a lot of flexibility, a lot of give and take in that you might gain lean mass. Even if you gain 2 or 3 pounds lean mass, that's good. But here's why we don't want to get too fat. One is that once you're at a certain level of fatness, your body has enough substrate and enough energy to get by. That's you maintain or you even lose and then bulk back up. This is where those mini cuts come into play. I believe are popularized by Dr. Lane Norton. Now, here's what I like to do. When you come off a show, I like to basically reverse diet you, where the week after the show, some people I might like to put 3 to 6 pounds on immediately due to how their hormones are, how they're feeling, and how lean they currently are. Now, most people, a lot of people, you'd be surprised, actually lose weight after a show. It's a profound experience that I can't explain. I'm actually one of those where after a show, I go to my hop. I'll wake up the next morning lighter than I was the day of the show, probably from the extreme carb loading, probably from the super compensation. I have no idea why it is, but it fucking happens for some people, not everyone. Everyone is different. Now, here's what I like to do. I like to go by photos. I like to go by daily changes in weight. I like to go by gaining about 0.5 to 1 pound a week. And that's why I think the most beneficial time to hire someone like me is in the off season. You look at the transformations that a lot of my clients make from show to show, from year to year. Like Alyssa's making phenomenal gains. If you follow her on Instagram, Alyssa Polisano. And because while we've been loose, we've been able to kind of, rock it out between shows and gauge, and actually live life and not count as strict as you would getting ready for a show, as you shouldn't. You're within 5 to 10%, you're still measuring, and you know what's going on. Now, what I like to do is that week immediately after a show, what we do is or after a diet, let's say you get done with a diet, you hit your goal. The goal is then to put on lean mass. How you put on lean mass is very slow, very deliberate, and very controlled. And I believe that's even for those who are on androgens. Unless it's your first cycle, then you might get those newbie gains. But let's assume this video is geared towards 100% naturals, okay? What I like to do is I like to come off the show, and let's say you allow a leeway of 2 to 3 pounds of padding, of weight gain. The next week, we slowly increase calories. After the show, you get back on your diet for 2 to 3 days, depending. Then you slowly add stuff back in. That might be in the form of carbohydrate or fat, depending on where macronutrients are at. Now, everyone is different. I like to get fats immediately up to the 50-gram range, which I believe is physiologically, psychologically, and hormonally a good level to be at. So I like to immediately get the fats up to an appreciable level of at least 50 grams. That's my number one step. Number 2 is carbohydrate. We already have protein at 1 gram per pound. So I'm not as worried about raising protein because it's already adequate. What I want to do then is I want to raise carbohydrate. What carbohydrate are, I remember Palumbo said that carbohydrate are like motor oil for regular gas for your car, whereas fats are like turbocharged super racing fuel. I think that's bullshit. Your body's preferred source of energy is glucose. So why would I say that fats are a better energy source? Yeah, fats stay in your body longer and they have a different way of being burned, but they still have to convert. If you're looking at immediate energy your body can use, you want glucose. And also carbohydrate are cheap, yummy, and once your fat's at a certain level, it's not going to do anything more for hormonal development, hormonal output. Once you're at that 50-gram plus range, I think if you're adequate, you got your essential fatty acids covered, you're getting about 30% saturates in your diet, I think you'll be good to go. I don't see much of a need for a super physiological level or a super high level of fats, nor do I see that benefiting your hormones better than a lower amount, let's say 50 to 60 grams. So then we tinker with carbohydrates, and the goal is to gain 0.5 to 1 pound a week, and I like to stay under 15% body fat for males. For women, we generally can go higher, but there I'm eyeballing it, And so the 20 pounds before a show might be a bit too simplified because some people also store water. You got intramuscular and intra-fat water. Basically, so your fat stores water, okay? Your intracellular or your intramuscular or subcutaneous, those also store water. So as you diet and your substrate or your macronutrients get lower, what will happen? You're going to be carrying less water, which is why you'll see IFBB pros or even regular athletes dropping 7 to 8 pounds their first week on a diet. My goal is to mitigate that and keep the fat loss a bit slower, keep it controlled, and keep you sane, and also minimize muscle loss as much as possible. So there you go. That's my answer to your question. I never like to get body fat above 15 to 20%. That's maximum for males. I never like to start a diet any bit over 8% body fat unless you're skinny fat and you're a newbie. There's a lot of guys come to me at 15 to 25% body fat. And if we cut them down, they have such a low amount of muscle that we're going to have to get them into literally just depraved, just terrible, terrible ranges. So those are the guys who want to build muscle and burn fat at the same time. And when you're skinny fat and you're a newbie, that is possible. But for someone with any bit of training experience, usually 5 to 6, 5 to 10, or even 3 to 6 years, you're probably not going to have the advantage of gaining that muscle. However, you will have the advantage of not being skinny fat, which is something that must really fucking suck. I was skinny fat in my life and I didn't really like it much. Actually, I was just fucking fat. But that's the thing. I mean, how fat? So to answer the question on this topic, how fat should I get between shows? The answer is not a notch above 15 to 20%. There's no reason for it. You're not going to put on more muscle. As Lee Haney said, you can't flex fat. I believe Balick even said that in Iron Man magazine. You cannot flex fat. But I do believe that you need a padding. Now, me, I know a lot of people go, why is your body fat so low? I'm eating as much as I possibly can, foods that make me feel good. And to be honest with you, this is where my body wants to be. Do I want a little more fat on my body, a little more cushion for the pushing, a little more junk in the trunk? Absolutely. But I'm not willing to eat enough to be uncomfortable to get to that level. And I like to keep my activity level high because I play with my kids and I really like training and building this lean mass. So I like where I'm at. As for this body fat level year round for, let's say, a natural athlete, I highly recommend against it. I don't believe anybody should be cruising any less than, 7% body fat as a natural athlete because it is deleterious to your hormonal output, your hormonal levels. I think 6% is as low as you want to stay at. And even then, that's very, very, very low. And that gives your body very little to work with in the manufacture of hormones and energy and all that good stuff. Unless, of course, there's that genetic elite, that genetic outlier who functions well with low body fat. And those people exist. We see them all the time. You might see those guys who do the calisthenics that HPN sponsors, Sean's company. The World Calisthenics Organization. Now, those guys are freaks. And I've seen a lot of them like Frank Medrano. He's healthy, he has energy, and he stays at like 4% year round. There are genetic outliers. So don't assume because someone has a certain body fat level that they're unhealthy, inherently unhealthy. Just assume that they might be better than you. There's a lot of people better than me. Doug Miller has better genetics than me. Phil Heath has better genetics than me. Fucking Ronald McDonald has better genetics than me. All you can do is maximize your own genetics and work within your own parameters of what your body can do. And over time, as you saw, I was a fat teenager. Over time, your body might adapt and might become something a little bit better than what it is now. But there's no reason to ever stay the same. Complacency is mediocrity. There's no reason to ever accept what's currently awesome as being awesome in the future. You can be much more awesome. You can always improve. You can always be a better version of you. And that's what you should try and do. So between shows, again, you want to train with progressive overload. You want to put on as much muscle as possible. You want to gain slowly. You want to keep your body fat in check. And let's say you do get above that 15 to 20% body fat. I do advocate, unless you have a show coming up, you need to start cutting for the show. If you're in an extended off season, let's say 2 to 3 years, I do recommend a mini cut. Get that body fat back to the 8 to 12 range and then start ramping it up again. I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share this, masturbate to my likeness, do whatever you want with this. Once again, I really appreciate you guys watching me. I really appreciate everything. I appreciate all the support. I appreciate you shopping and supporting TigerFitness.com and, of course, supporting MTS Nutrition. I'm Marc Lobliner, TigerFitness.com. Because becoming so fat, you can't see your cock and balls in the off season. Well, I can. Because it's on the floor. And that's not a game.